Aliens aren't always from outer space. Assume that the drawing to the left represents a habitat, a natural environment where an organism lives. The habitat to the left represents a home to small creatures like this frog. These creatures have lived there for many, many years and are considered native to this habitat. But suppose someone brought an alligator from another habitat and let it swim in the frog's habitat. The alligator is considered non-native, exotic, or alien to the frog's habitat. All of those words have the same meaning. It means any plant or animal that is not native, it does not naturally live in that habitat. So, what could happen if we did this? Well, let's think about it. Little juicy frog, big hungry alligator. Could end badly for the frog, right? That's just one example of an alien species. Let's take a look at some more. Alien species are not always large. Aliens can fit in the palm of your hand or can even be microscopic in size. In fact, it's easier for small alien plants and animals to move from one habitat to another because they can unknowingly travel in or on vehicles or even on other animals. For instance, many alien species have traveled in cargo ships that travel the world's ocean, moving from one part of the world to another. When a ship docks in a distant port, water is released from the ballast tank. That tank is in the lower part of the ship, as you can see. This is a cross section. If we took the ship long ways, sliced it, and looked in. Then the lower part, which fills up with water during the voyage, is released. As the water is released, a ship rises in the water, which allows for navigation in shallow waterways. The ballast water released into the waterway could contain small plants and animals from faraway places. This is where we get our aliens. Here's an example of one of these aquatic or water-dwelling hitchhikers. In 1988, zebra mussels were first sighted in Lake St. Clair, between Lake Erie and Lake Huron. Mussels are aquatic animals with two hard shells. Zebra mussels in Lake Erie are unique because they are native to the Caspian Sea, which is the largest lake on Earth. It borders Russia and Iran. It's believed that the first zebra mussels were hitchhikers aboard a cargo ship from Europe. They found their new home in Lake St. Clair when they were released with the ship's ballast water, just like we described and showed you on the last slide. Zebra mussels are not very large. They can fit easily in the palm of your hand. Take a look at these pictures. You can see them filling up a pipe and the person's hands as a scale for size. Zebra mussels are not only aliens, they are invasives. So, why is this a problem? What trouble do you think these little mussels could cause? Zebra mussels are a problem for several reasons. They reproduce quickly and threaten North American freshwater mussels. They take up their role in the ecosystem. Zebra mussels attach to almost anything solid. They can attach to boats, piers, buoys, water intake screens, and even other hard-shell animals. So a large clam could end up covered in these tiny zebra mussels. Large zebra mussel colonies foul boat hulls by covering them. They sink buoys, making them too heavy. And they clog pipes, like you saw in the previous photo, that provide cooling water to power plants. That can cause dangerous problems. Zebra mussels are on the move. They've been found in other areas of the United States since they were first introduced back in 1988. An estuary is a partially enclosed body of water where fresh water from rivers and streams mixes with salt water from the ocean. Take a look at the Chesapeake Bay here. Fresh water flowing in from the oceans meets up with salt water from the ocean. and you get an area that has a mixture of fresh and salt water called an estuary. The Chesapeake Bay is the largest of the 130 estuaries in the United States. Parts of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia border the Chesapeake Bay. If you're near Philadelphia, that would be right about here, to give you an idea of where this map is located. So have zebra mussels been sighted in the Chesapeake Bay? Let's take a look. On this map, in gray, we see the buoys. In green, these are areas where zebra mussels have been seen between 2008 and 2013. So you see, they were starting to appear. In red, you see where they were spotted most recently in 2014. So they're gaining ground. There are more and more zebra mussels in the Chesapeake Bay each year at this point. Now, zebra mussels are going to come up again and again. We're going to keep talking about the Chesapeake Bay and its watershed throughout the next couple pods. But there are many other examples of invasive species. Let's take a look at some more. The hitchhiking brown tree snake in Guam is an interesting invasive species case. Guam is an island located in the western Pacific Ocean. It's a territory of the United States. Although this island is on the other side of the Earth, it's experiencing the same problem that the Chesapeake Bay is experiencing, a problem that can be found anywhere in our planet: aliens. In this case, the alien is the brown tree snake, which is not native to the island of Guam. So how did the brown snake get to an island in the middle of an ocean? It's a tree snake. It lives in trees. How does it get across an ocean? It had to hitchhike there. A likely explanation is that brown tree snakes hitched a ride on U.S. military cargo ships shortly after World War II ended in the 1940s. When these stowaway snakes arrived in Guam, they found a paradise where there were no predators of the snake on the island. Now, predators are any organism that exists by preying upon or eating other organisms. So that means these snakes found an island where nothing could eat them. In addition, an abundance of native fauna, birds, mammals, and lizards that lived on the island provided a food source for the brown tree snake. When one significant change occurs in an ecosystem, that's an area that contains organisms interacting with one another and their non-living environment. It impacts everything else in that ecosystem, and this can be disastrous to a fragile environment. Before the introduction of the brown tree snakes, there were 11 native bird species of the island. Today, 9 of those species no longer survive on the island. In other words, most of the birds on the island are gone, all because of the brown tree snake. At this point, you're probably starting to form an idea that these hitchhikers can cause all kinds of problems, and you're probably starting to notice that it was a ship created and used by humans that caused these changes in the environment in both cases we've talked about so far. Just something to keep in mind. We've got one more case to figure out. The frankenfish. As stated earlier, exotic species can be found anywhere on Earth. Closer to home is the exotic invasive northern snakehead fish. This fish threatens a number of areas in the United States. It has been nicknamed frankenfish and starred in 2 science fiction movies. So if you encounter this fish in any areas that you've been fishing in the United States, it is not native, it is not local to the area, and the other fish that you see are probably having to compete against this invader. All right, that's it for today. Make sure you complete the homework below and are ready for our next lesson. See you in live class.